had to do it in a different location. What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, partner in Ambrosia Collective, alongside my partner here,
Sean Torbati.
So we were having a conversation in the car, and something that I don't see anybody really bringing up, and I don't want to throw shade at all the natural bodybuilding pros out there, because they worked hard, they got in shape, they won a pro card. But the one thing that I've noticed is that natural bodybuilding is pretty much dead. There's a couple shows that crush it. My boy puts on a great NGA show in Florida. Kent's obviously doing his thing with ANBF. But we used to have like these, OCB was huge. WNBF and their world championships were huge. And we knew the athletes. In fact, remember Cybation, we sponsored all those guys.
Yeah.
Sponsored the biggest names. Like, it was huge.
Yeah.
Now I couldn't tell you one show, couldn't tell you one event. I don't even know if the OCB is still in business. I hear nothing about the INBF. It used to be Alphabet Soup. And we were talking about what kind of went into why I think you don't hear much about it. It could still be going on. Maybe I'm just living under a rock. But we used to actually promote the ANBF show out here.
Yeah, we had an ANBF show here. Yeah, and to be clear, it's not saying that the idea of bodybuilding naturally or without anabolics doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, it doesn't.
That's not what we're saying.
No, not
it
for
never
me.
existed. Is what we're saying. Just kidding.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
You can obviously still, and people do, including myself, you can train without anabolics, but what we're talking about, just to be clear, is the sport, the competitive outlet for it, which is like how I got started.
The organizations themselves, not the actual act of bodybuilding.
Exactly, yeah. And so we're talking about that and what exactly caused it to what caused its demise when at a certain point it was on the upswing.
I think it was actually nipping at NPC's butts, because a lot of people don't want to take it to the extreme level. And I'm not even talking about drugs, but like, when you get to that NPC level, you get to that IFBB level, I mean, the competition's crazy. But when you level that playing field and you have these organizations that are natural, that are tested, you have a situation where, you can have everyday people who aren't as committed compete. And I thought it was great. And it fostered some amazing physiques, like Doug Miller, who's natural, right? No, I'm just playing. Doug's our boy. Kurt Widener. I'm blanking on the name, but there's some really...
Cordova.
Cordova was amazing. So
Brian
you have
Whitaker,
Whitaker, that's what I was thinking of.
Tons of great physiques.
Smaller, but they used to come in diced. So I think there's two reasons. And the first one is ego and infighting. There were all these organizations, and instead of kind of like saying, okay, we all can have our piece of the pie, they all kept suing each other and fighting amongst each other, and making it where the athletes couldn't compete within different organizations, so limiting their show choices. Natural bodybuilders can compete 13 times a year just fine, because they don't really peak like other athletes do. So I think number one would be the infighting.
That, I'll say this is also part of number one. In addition to infighting, it's a lack of a clear-cut winner or superior organization. Like, when it came to the NFL versus the AFL. Eventually the NFL won, they were the superior organization. There was never a dominant organization who was able to build that dominance into the national level. Everything was always regionalized. And that was a big problem too, because it's obviously going to be a nationwide sport. People want to compete in different places and whatever, and you certainly want to have a champion within a country, let alone the world. And so you need an organization to eventually be the one who can take the reins, be the most professional, the biggest, the baddest, offer the most to the athletes, and build something great. And that never really happened.
No, for a while it was OCB and the ANBF, or I'm sorry, the INBF, the WNBF.
Yep.
But they were so busy fighting amongst themselves that it made the athletes kind of hate their organizations. And I saw this because for both of these companies at one point, from my old company to that company I'm with now, Tiger Fitness MTS, the largest sponsors of natural bodybuilding. We love supporting athletes. And here, the second reason is one that I haven't heard anybody talk about. And I think it was a brilliant move by the NPC and IFBB, who I am extremely loyal to for many reasons. I think they've done a lot of things right. Classic Physique.
Classic Physique, the newest division.
That is the dagger in the heart of natural bodybuilding, because Matthew Lillard. I sponsored him at Cybation. Phenomenal athlete, phenomenal. He's actually a lawyer. He is a pro, IFBB pro in Classic Physique. Now, Matthew Liller is 100% natural. Natural. And people, because I have a more classic type physique, people are like, why don't you go into Classic? I'm like, I got on stage at like 215 pounds. To compete in Classic as an amateur, my weight limit, my weight max for my height, 182 pounds. There's no way I could get down to that.
Yeah.
So it prevents freaks like me from coming into that class and outsizing you. So having the height and the weight and having them capped, it allows people like, you bring it back. You take a Brian Whitaker, you take a Matthew Lillard who actually did it, you take a Cordova, imagine Cordova in Classic Physique, 100% natty. He would crush it.
Yeah.
He would murder it.
I mean, you first had the rollout of the physique division.
Yes.
Right? And you had a lot of people probably transitioned who would have given natural bodybuilding a crack. They went to physique instead. But then you had your guys who were already competing in natural bodybuilding or already were romantic to the sport, who didn't want to go to board shorts because they were like, I got legs. I want to show my legs.
Yep.
I worked too hard for this. I don't want to wear shorts now. Or they didn't have the swag or whatever. So they were holding back. When they rolled out Classic Physique, that really married the two worlds together. Where, okay, you get to show the legs, that's still going to be important here. And you put, like you said, the weight restrictions versus your height. That took away the mass monster likely. And these guys are still pretty big because a lot of them will make weight, and be bigger than they're supposed to be and et cetera. But that's the name of the game. Any weight-based sport will have that in it, but it does put limitations in place. And really it was perfect for natural bodybuilders to have a place to come to.
Yeah, it's and I know locally a lot of classic guys and the Classic Physique divisions at Masters USA, if you were backstage, they looked good. Like they were in better shape than a lot of the bodybuilders. And it was the toughest bodybuilding classes I've ever seen. Like the fact I won that show still shocks me to this day. So I think that, and I want to give a shout out. At first I used to talk trash about the divisions. I'm like, they're muddying the waters. The NPC IFBB have literally created a division for just about everyone. I talked trash about the wellness division. I was wrong. Now you got girls who are pretty much bikini top with good booty, good legs. They're thicker. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful, it's a look I prefer to bikini. I like butts and I like the look. I'm not just saying it's the butts. I love that look.
You love the butts. We get it.
I love the physique. I love how they look. I love the what they're bringing to the stage.
Yeah.
And it gives girls who can't get that lean in the hips, and it gives them a chance to compete.
Right.
Then you have bikini, which gives everybody from the hardcore whatever to moms. Then you got figure, which is slightly harder, right? Then you got women's physique, and then they brought back women's bodybuilding.
Oh, I didn't know that was even back.
Women's bodybuilding came back at the Olympia. It was Wings of Strength. You knew they were going to bring it back. Then for men, physique, which honestly, they're bodybuilders with pretty subpar legs.
Yeah.
Like these guys are jacked.
Yeah.
Like these guys are jacked. Then you got men's physique. Then you got bodybuilding. I mean, and 212. They've done such a good job where they have literally made every reason for nobody to ever compete naturally. In a natural organization.
In another organization.
Yes. They've literally monopolized it, not because they're playing shady tactics, but because they've read the market and said, okay, how do we bring these guys in? Weight caps.
Yeah. And if anything, I think it's not like a predatory move on the NPC's part. It's them doing what I was saying, which is that you need to be on top. Like you need to be the top dog. And the top dog has to continue to expand and attract new people and keep its current constituents happy. That's exactly what the NPC has done. They've created a lane for everyone.
So let me parallel this to business for those of y'all who follow Sean and myself for business. So Planta, how many flavors do we have?
15.
Okay, Outright Bar, there's over 30 flavors.
Wow.
Why? Who's the category leader in both of those categories? We are. Outright Bar is the leading whole food bar. Planta is the leading plant-based protein.
Yep.
When you want to own a category, you have to go deep. You have to offer variety. What the NPC IFBB did is they said, we own this category.
Physique competitions, we own it.
Yeah, tell me about NABA. Where are they?
Yeah.
They couldn't keep up. And everything that NPC IFBB does, the naturals do the same thing, which means that they're always following. So in the mind of the consumer, if I'm competing, it's like, why would I compete with these? They can't even do their own stuff. They're literally copying what these guys do.
Yeah, and it's going to be the situation of wanting to be at the biggest and the best place, because also on top of all the different divisions, they also have the experience levels that they offer too, where it's like your first show or novice or open. So like they even have a place for your skill level, not let alone your category. So it's an amazing place, and you wanna, if you're putting in what you should be putting in, which is 12, 16, 20 weeks of time to get ready for this, you don't want to go to a show where there's 8 people.
No.
In all the classes, you know? You want to go somewhere where there's hundreds of people and you meet new people and you see other people who are doing the same thing and you get to compete against more people. It's way more fun. And so like you can't fault any competitor for, even if they are natural, for competing in the NPC versus a natural organization. No. Because that's something that's come up. It's like, oh, if you're proud to be natural, you should compete in a natural organization. It's like, okay, why would I want to compete in an inferior show at a fucking elementary school if I could compete, you know, in a memorial auditorium, a badass place like the NPC shows usually are at? You know, why not? Why would I not want that?
I haven't been, so I made my comeback this year. Tennessee State was in a great center. Knox Classic was in a phenomenal center. And then obviously North Americans, and then Masters USA was in a resort.
Yeah.
Like, why would I not want to compete in that organization?
Yeah.
That's what I get. So this is not a knock to natural bodybuilding.
Not by any means.
Because we're still sponsoring a ton of events because we sponsor the athletes. But when you're looking overall, and I've been asked this, like, what are the good natural organizations to compete in? And I usually point ANBF gives you a good option. You know, I have no idea what else is out there. I know there's a couple good NGA shows. But at the end of the day, just do an NPC show. Don't be scared. You know, the NPC show is going to give you a class, a novice, a beginner. They have super novice, novice. They have all these different classes. So if you want to give it a go, look, and you're natural, you're not the only one. There's a class for you. That's what I think has happened to natural bodybuilding. All right, so please like this video, subscribe to this channel. Where can I follow you, Sean?
On Instagram at Sean Torbody, and on YouTube at Sean Torbody as well.
All right, man. So, and also if you want to buy your supplements, we own a company called Ambrosia. We have a great pre-workout called Kinetic and a great viral defense supplement called Vita. Many other products. I want you to go to tigerfitness.com or ambrosiacollective.com and buy them because we like making money. And we also like helping you reach your goals. Thanks so much for watching, guys. That's not a game.